Yo, we are back. It's Monday, baby. It's time to have some fun. How do you spell fun? Shoot, like this. F-U-N fun.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business and social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business
Bros. Yeah, we're back at it, baby. Woo! Time to have some fun. Didn't even line up my camera or nothing. I'm just like going
Nah,
off
you're
and
just rolling
doing
with
the
it.
damn thing, just having some fun with it.
Just going,
Dude.
just going.
So first Monday of every month, we don't have a guest because we try to avoid making a $3,000 mistake. Those of you who
Happened
follow
once.
us, know what the story is, but we'll give you the quick recap.
One time.
It happened
one time.
but we're
Still,
never
it
going to
was
let it happen
$3,000.
again. So what happened? Every month at the beginning of the month, we have to do our billing, right? We have to go and send out all our invoices so that we can get paid because that's, our monthly
works.
revenue time. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Well, just this one time, we kept going through our normal month, and then we sit down with our partners to go over the P&Ls for the month, and we were short like $3,000 from a normal, month to month to month. We're like, the hell happened? Well, life happened is what happened. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. Like that's
Right.
the rule that we live by. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. We didn't have this part of what we do on the calendar. It wasn't just set in there as this is the day that we run invoices. It's just kind of, it's the beginning of the month. We got to do this. So we had gone the whole month, didn't recognize it until the next month that we had skipped 1 month of invoicing our clients. And so and it would have been weird to try double hit them, and so we ate the mistake and chalked it up as a loss, right?
Yep.
That's what you're looking for, there.
That was it right there.
So from that point forward, we no longer scheduled a Monday on the first Monday of every month. We closed off the calendar on the podcast, and we said, "This is the day. This is the day that we're going to avoid making a $3,000 mistake. We're not going to let that happen.
It will not happen again. Exactly.
Show me the money!
Yes.
Stuck to that, and we stuck to that. So here's Monday. We did not make a $3,000 mistake. And the truth of the matter is, I didn't know if that was the topic we're going to talk about. But when I create the shows ahead of time so that we can have it all squared away, all the calendar stuff, everything on the calendar, like we said, what do I name that Monday when we don't have a guest? I name it "Don't Make the $3,000 Mistake" episode. So that's what we're doing here. So for those of you who had never heard that story before, that is why we close off the first Monday of every month.
And that is why we have no guest, and it's just us. But it's all right. I'll throw something out there. Last Friday we had the shortest Business Bros episode ever.
Dude, it was almost 4 minutes. Like
Almost four whole minutes. But it was cool. We just did it right there on your porch or on your deck, I should say. And bada bing, bada boom. And you know what that makes me think of? Anybody can start a podcast.
Dude, anybody could do it.
Anybody can do it.
Anybody could do it.
That's a question. Isn't that a question that you get all the time? Like, well, what do I need to start a podcast?
You need this guy right here. This
That's
little thing that is attached to your hand at all times. The thing that gives you a notification when you hit a new TikTok. The thing that gives you a notification when it's when you set the timer. That thing that that wakes you up in the morning. Because I'm sure very few people use an alarm clock these days. Most of you are using your cell phone. It is the cell phone. This is the thing.
I read somewhere that most people don't let this thing be more than arm's length away.
Dude, not just that. Gen Zs have a sense of actual anxiety when they are not when they don't have their proximity with their phone for more than 15 minutes. Like
Crazy.
More than 15 minutes causes anxiety to people. This is a good conversation to have because, we had a great time this weekend. And one of the cool things about this weekend was it was in Mexico. So it's not like I had a good cell service. I didn't want to turn my roaming on. So literally I had my phone and it operated as a camera only, right? That was the only thing that I could use it for. And it was kind of cool because we got to sit down, have fun, and talk to people we haven't talked to in a long time, family we haven't seen in a long time. And it's not that they're far away; it's just COVID, right?
Yep.
And we got to see people that we hadn't seen in a long time that are up north in Seattle and Washington area. And it was
nice.
It was really cool to be around people. Like
It was.
And conversate and dance,
Converse.
even though I don't really converse, even though I don't really do much. And gangsters don't dance with boogie, right? Icky. But it was cool to be around people. And still, even though this thing only operated as a camera, it was weird not having it around me. Like it had to be in my pocket. It had to be in my close proximity. Like it was still a part of me. And I wonder how many like people out there feel this kind of angst. And I wonder what it would look like to them. Is it something that's like a positive thing? Like this thing is so resourceful. It's so powerful. It's a massive tool. Or do they see it as it's an addiction? You need to get away from it and you need to let it go. What do you think?
I think it goes. It can go either direction. You and I had this conversation not too long ago. I told you, I was like, dude, I've been spending too much time on my phone. I'm gonna, stay off of it for a little while. Like I'm setting up controls so that I'm not on my phone all the time. And you were like, really? I'm going the opposite direction. Like I'm diving head first. I'm diving deep into this thing and I'm getting more and more into it, because engagement and this and that and et cetera and so on. Like there's a lot of things that it does for us as podcasters, as business owners, as all of these things. Like it is a tool. No doubt about it. It is absolutely a tool. But by the same token, even the tool can be addicting. It can get to a point where it just starts to be too much. When you're talking about getting anxiety because you can't be away from it for 15 minutes, I think that's a legitimate like problem. Like that's an addiction. You're so addicted to that dopamine rush when you see a new notification or new comment or whatever it is that you're waiting for, that it absolutely can become problematic. I personally have taken to having at least an hour a day where I don't have my phone on me. A lot of times I'll just go for a walk and I just won't take my phone just so I can disconnect.
Dude, let's stay on this conversation because this is a good one right here. This is one of those things where it's like a lifestyle. It's almost like like what you find, what you deem acceptable, right? This idea of where the world is today, this dopamine hit of attention, these notifications, followers, all that stuff, right? I've been reading Elon Musk's book, and one of the cool things that they kind of point out is that Elon had a really good grasp early on of how humanity kind of operates and where we were with technology at the current time, and so he could kind of see a direction in where things were going, right? And which is why he kind of did the whole PayPal thing first, and then moving into SpaceX and Tesla and solar, like all these different things. Like he could see based on where the world's at, like where things are going. So I started to, yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, he's very unique in the way he analyzes data and analyzes things, right? And so I'm trying to think. I was like, okay, well, be like Elon for a second. Like, where is the world today? And where do we think it could possibly be going? And one of the things that I've noticed is things like Facebook, things like TikTok, right? If I try to compare it to things of the past. So what is it that is so enticing about social media and the way it's being used right now that could fizzle, that could go away, right? Like on the one hand, the only reason why any of these companies exist, why Facebook is as popular as it is, or TikTok is as popular, Instagram, any of those, right? Is because they hired us essentially as slaves. We work for nothing and we give them every single piece of entertainment, knowledge base, content imaginable. Like we, the people, are creating these platforms for everybody to enjoy, right? So we're getting these dopamine hits all the time every time we create content, whether it's viral and it blows up and it really gives us that huge dopamine rush that we're looking for, or it's moderately blows up like a TikTok that maybe gets 10,000 or 20,000 or 100,000 views. Then you're like, ooh, that was cool. I want to do that again. Or a post that just flops and gets 5-6 likes or whatever, something small like that.
Most of mine, yeah.
Which doesn't right? I get a lot of those too. Don't worry. But the point is, like, it doesn't matter whether it's something on the low end or something on the high end. They didn't give us anything to create that content. They didn't force us or tell us this is how you should do it. We are creating that stuff. We are craving those likes. We are craving that attention and looking for that. And I wonder how much. And I don't know. You tell me your opinion on that, but like, at what point do you think we're going to be like, you know what, that's dumb, and kind of move from there, right? And if we do that, what would be the thing we move into? And while you're thinking of a response like that, I'm thinking, okay, well, media-wise, we had books, and then we went to newspapers, right? And then we went to radio, and then we went to TV, and now we went to internet. Like,
What's next?
What's the progression on next? Like, what is gonna capture human attention the way that social media has captured our attention, or the way TV captured our attention, or the way the radio captured our attention? Like, what is it about these things that we love, and when do we get over them?
Holographic images. I'm thinking the Tony Stark, like, let me hit my wrist, and like, I can see the Death Star like hovering right here. Like,
see, that to me, that's cool, but it has to be simple enough for somebody else to do, right? Because what's cool, like getting a message like that, you open it up, you're like, oh, that's awesome, and like you're interacting with somebody, or being the message, right? Because now all of a sudden, like, you think of that hologram 3D, you're thinking of something as simple as I was, like, I don't know, showing off something cool, or I love you 3,000 speech to your kids or something like that, right?
Right.
But the moment you open the door,
Why you gotta break my heart like that?
right? The moment you open the door to something like that, people are like, well, I could use it to do this, and I can use it to do this. I mean, that's the whole thing about our creativity.
Tell me your brain didn't just go straight to like 3D, like holographic porn.
Yes, it did. It did, right? Because honestly, dude,
because as soon as they did the VR thing, like, that's where it is, right?
That's where it's at, dude.
As soon as they were able to develop pictures, that's what happened.
Video, that's
Boom.
what happened. Hologram, that's going to happen.
Of course.
In my mind, the way we're heading, where we're going is like, I was thinking of TV, right? And so for me, TV has two things that really what we do. We learn stuff, or we're entertained, or we're educated, right? That's really the two things that we do on TV. So I'm thinking, okay, well, what's entertaining on what was entertaining growing up as I was growing up on TV? What caught my attention? Well, we have things like cartoons, right? We have things like talk shows, but we also have things like sports. Right. And so we have football, we have baseball, we have major league sports that we love to watch and just gravitate to, whether it's live or on TV. We love those things. So I'm looking at trying to be that, like, well, what's that next thing? And when you bring VR into it, it really opens the door. And for me, it was like Ready Player One. Ready Player One.
No, even better. Let's go to Black Mirror, where you put the thing in your eye.
Oh, you're talking about where, like, now you're experiencing that thing like it's actually real?
That one, that's another one. Or also the one where you're like, oh, let me just like rewind my life, and it records everything that I did.
Oh,
that
you're
was
talking about that
cool.
episode where it's like, show me that memory where you got hosed at work, and like you throw that memory on.
Yep.
Dude, that'd be kind of dope, dude. But I mean, again, it would, I don't know, like, all these different things are like, in my mind, I'm tripping out, because I'm like, okay, well, what if that's the next thing, if that's the next creative thing, what am I doing today that will be beneficial for the people that I work with now, but is also in line in a direction that I think the world is heading in?
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of Black Mirror, I love Black Mirror. I love the way that they use technology and the way that the world is to like project this not always great idea of how the world could be, but it's a thing. So that other documentary that we watched, the Fake Famous one, that one made me think of that other Black Mirror episode where, like, if you're a 5-star person, you can live in this side of the neighborhood, and if you're a 3-star person, like, you can only live on this part of the neighborhood. You have to get 4 stars to like move up in the world. And I mean, you watch something like Fake Famous on HBO, I think it was, and you can almost see that. If you get
it is actually a
15,000, 50,000, 150,000 followers, like, all of a sudden you're an influencer.
Dude, here's what I tell people all the time. I mean, look at the swag wall. And we're like this kind of influencer. We're tiny influencer compared to some of these other major people in the world, right? And if the tiny influencer like us is able to get free stuff, swag wall, shirts, sometimes we get to go places, we get experiences for free, right? Imagine 4, 5, 6, 10 times the following, 10 times the audience,
100 times.
It could be ridiculously phenomenal, right? And that's power of influence. But it kind of gets me thinking on a lot of different levels here. Now it's like, well, what's to say that kind of following doesn't run for political office? What's to say that kind of following doesn't start major movements? What's to say that kind of following doesn't start coups or civil unrest, or on the other side, world peace, or you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different things that tribes and networks can do.
Like, it
that
literally did, but okay.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it does, right?
Yeah.
In these last couple elections, right? It's just had such a huge influence. But again, most people, and mind you, regardless of how it's influencing the world, I'm still surprised at how many people avoid creating content like the plague. Like, they would still rather sit back and consume rather than create, take in rather than speak. And I wonder if that's just a human nature thing. Like, I'm comfortable where I'm at. Like, I'm okay with having my 9 to 5. I'm okay with, working at my job for the next 30 years or 40 years, whatever it is. I'm okay with retiring at 65. I'm okay with being a teach only, and this is my only income source or my only job source. Like, I'm okay with that. And if that's your mentality, that's, by all means, that's great. My biggest thing is always, happiness. But for everybody else, right? Everybody else who is trying to make something of themselves, who has their own brand or who has their own business or who has something that they want to put out to the world, why are they not utilizing this? In that case, why isn't this attached to your hip? Why aren't you sharing and creating content on a regular basis? Why aren't you testing things out and figuring out which stuff gets 4 likes and which stuff gets 400 likes? Why aren't you trying to do this sort of thing? And is it because of a generational shift? Is it because when you were growing up, you watched Saturday morning cartoons and you didn't post everything online, and so you'll be damned if you're going to do that going forward? Like, are you holding on to your nostalgia that much? Or is there more to it? What do you think? I mean, you're my generation. You grew up the same way I did. And yet you're not hopping on social quite as much. I think you've made the choice very recently to start making a shift into that because you have a specific goal in mind. But prior to that, like, why not? You have a business, you're trying to learn as much as you can. You're trying to grow as much as you can and connect with people as much. Why not?
I mean, for me, it really is that. I don't know. I call it confidence. I call it anxiety. Call it, all these different things that, getting in front of, what's funny is I'm here hanging out with you, talking with you, and I can do this. I can get in front of a camera and, do your podcast, do my podcast, etc. But like, try and get me to record an Instagram story and like my words are all flubbed and or try to get me to like create a Facebook post. And I have done this, I don't know how many times, that I'll write the whole Facebook post and then I'll look at it and like change a word, change another word, change a paragraph, right? Change a sentence, change a paragraph, and then just delete the whole thing and say, fuck it.
You're not the only one though. There are a lot of people who do the same thing, right? Rosa's the same way. Rosa's the wife, right? So she is freaking funny. Like on her Snapchat, she's funny. Like her stories, they're good. They're fun. I mean, she says weird things like Michelob, right?
Michelob. Eso.
Inside joke. It's inside joke. Inside joke. But my point is, like, if you watch her Snapchat, it's funny. It's cool. Like she's as authentic as possible, and she's just describing her day. She's having fun, but she fears sharing it. Like she doesn't want to put it out there. Like like I do. Like I put everything else out there, right?
Yep.
She doesn't want to, and for her, in her sake, I understand, right? In her sake, she's not trying to build a brand. She's not trying to build recognition. The people she's sharing it are with, the 5 or 6, 7 people that are closest to her, and that's fine. I understand that. But again, you are trying to do something,
right?
Why aren't you doing that, right? Like anybody else who is in business, the people who are actually listening to this show, who are trying to build something for yourself. Why are you not doing that? And if your response is something like, well, I'm uncomfortable, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do first, like just do it. Nike, like just do it. You're gonna get better, but you actually have to do it. And everything else that you give as a reason why not, it's an excuse. It's an addiction. It's, I don't want to spend too much time on my phone. Whatever it is, if your job is to grow a brand, to grow a business, so that you get more customers to come in the door, because that's where your livelihood comes from. What the hell, man?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. And, I've also taken your just do it approach, and it works for a while, and then it doesn't work anymore. And then I have, bad days or whatever, bad posts or whatever it is. And I'm just like, fuck it. Why did I even bother? Like, I think that there's also a, this conversation that I was having with my previous guest. There's this ideal persona and this ideal, person or whatever social media presence that I'm supposed to be, that I'm supposed to have. And then there's what I actually am. Right. And you are doing a lot of things that I think are ideal. And as much as I look up to you and want to be like you in that sense, like I'm not you. And I have to understand that and find my way of doing similar things. Find my way of, creating content that fits me, that works for me. And, the more that I try to be like you, the more inauthentic that I am. That's not me.
I'll give you that. But that doesn't change the fact that you need to put out content.
True.
In your own authentic way. In the way that you like, right? Maybe it's not maybe it's not using Canva. Maybe it's not live feeds. Maybe it's scripted. Maybe it's curated. Maybe it's perfectly edited. But it's content, right? And
blog posts.
Maybe it's blog posts, right?
I'm writing my blog posts on pen and paper because that's really authentic to me. Talk about authenticity.
That's how you create. That's how you communicate. Right. So I don't know. For me, what I've been saying a lot lately is F your feelings, dude. Like I've been saying that a lot lately because that is the truth of the thing that holds me back. Right. I don't feel like running. I don't feel like eating that salad, or I feel like eating that double, or I feel like whatever. Right? And the truth of the matter is, all those feelings are my excuses. That's really what it comes down to. It's the way I legitimize whatever my action is going to be.
It's funny, dude, because how I was saying that I told you I was taking a break from social, and you're like, oh, I'm completely opposite, diving right in. So you're saying, hit that button. Your feelings. I'm over here like, nah, actually, I'm going to embrace my feelings. I'm going to allow them to be. I'm going to allow myself to feel whatever it is that I feel. And actually, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to follow my feelings and follow where they lead me. And I think that that's going to lead me in the right direction.
As long as you take an action.
as long as I take an action.
Because, dude, I swear, my feelings at least, my feelings are like dream clouds. I can live on them and they're great, but they take me freaking nowhere, dude, unless I take action. Like, unless I have that specific goal in mind, I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. So what? You said you're going to freaking do it, do it. Right? Like, oh man, I look at my list sometimes, my 6 things, and I'm like, you said you were going to do those things. Like, you literally wrote them on there because you were going to do them. So I don't care what your excuse is, you're going to do them. And here's the thing. It's like when I sit down and I spend the 2 to 3 minutes to just get started, the freaking thing gets done.
Yeah.
It gets done.
Yep.
Right. But the problem is I sit in my feeling clouds all the time. Oh, maybe in a little bit, or I'll do it a little bit later. Like I I sit in my feeling cloud and nothing gets done.
I'll give you that.
So
I'll give you that.
Authenticity is your superpower as long as you show the authenticity and not hide behind it. Like that's my thing for a lot of the stuff that I do. Is there's a lot of times that for all the things that I do, there are so many times that I don't do. And I hide behind something, right? I hide behind, it's raining outside, so I didn't go running this morning, right? Oh, it was cold, so I decided, it wasn't a good thing to do today, or whatever. I only have 15 minutes, and I'm gonna need at least 30 to get that done, so I'm not gonna do it right now. Like there's always some excuse. There's always some feeling, something that gets in the way of me just sitting down and doing it. And so what if I have 15 minutes left on the clock and I know it's going to take 30 minutes? If I get started, I'm halfway done.
Right.
Like, and who knows what epiphany I had all the way through where maybe it wasn't a 30-minute activity. It was actually a 10-minute activity, and I'm done and I got 5 minutes left over and I chalked one off my list. Like, I don't know, man. I'm trying to force myself to like call myself on my whenever I have something that is stopping me from attaining that heading in that direction. For me, it's that fame and fortune. I'm gonna have the best live show in business. Period.
I love it.
How do I do that? Well, there are a bunch of things, dude. In my journal, boom. In my journal, I got my 6 things that I wrote down from last week, and I can tell you this morning after playing with this thing, I cranked out maybe 3 of these. 1, 2. Okay, 2. 2.
But still, you have the goal.
But I have the goal, right?
Yep.
I have the goal.
40,000 subscribers,
dude. And you're in the blue ocean, dude. And you're in the blue ocean.
That's the goal. But
that's the goal.
But I 100% agree with you. That setting goals and accomplishing the tasks that will get me towards those goals, like there is no substitute for that. I can feel and feel and feel and feel as much as I want. I can, sit in my feelings cloud, like you said. But if those things don't get done, I'm not going to get any closer to my goal. Right? You and I are always going to have this disagreement about, mindset and activity. You say just do it. I'm like, you know what? If I don't feel like doing it, I'm not going to do it. Because if I try to do it when I don't feel like it, sometimes I can't even guarantee you that it's going to get done, even if I try. Right? Like I will sit down to do it, and I've got 15 minutes to do a 30-minute project, and I'll sit there and I'll stare at it for 10. Right? Because I'm just not in the right mindset. But when I'm in the right mindset, that 30-minute task takes me 10 minutes.
Flow state, baby.
Right? So for me, it's all about getting into that flow state. But by the same token, I cannot use that over and over and over again as an excuse, because then nothing will ever get done. I want 40,000 subscribers on my podcast. By the way, follow me at Practicing Polly and subscribe to my podcast. I want 40,000 followers or 40,000 subscribers on my podcast, right? I'm not going to get there if I just sit in my feelings and don't post and don't create content and don't do anything, right? One of the things that I'm doing is, writing down these ideas that I have for blog posts. So blog posting is one of the things that I'm going to do to continue to grow my audience. And you have this list of 6 things, and as I'm listening to you, I'm like, this is a good idea. what are things that I can do? And I'll probably end up writing them right here on my whiteboard. What are things that I can do every day that feel good? What are things that I can do every day that feel good that I can post about? I think that that's like, for me, that's going to be the thing. Hey, what did I do today that felt good?
Or another one is not an or, but another one is like a day in a poly life.
Day in a poly life? Meh.
Like when you just had your first radar.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because
that's what my blog post was about. Check this out. What did I learn today?
literally writing it on the board. But I feel.
What felt good today?
I think you're missing. Oh no, is that 2 O's? Yeah, it's 2 O's.
Yeah, it's 2 O's. There's 2 O's in there. I know how to spell good.
I was like, what felt God today? Huh?
What felt God today? What felt good today? Well, today I went for an 8-mile run.
Holy crap.
And I thought I was going to get back home and like get into, all kinds of work and get all kinds of stuff done. And I got some things done. I did some work. And then I was tired. So I took a nap. And then I got up from my nap and I wasn't quite ready to get back to work. So I went for a walk. That felt good today. And then I got back and man, had an awesome podcast, had an awesome show. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm excited for, whatever comes the rest of the evening.
When I was tired, I slept. When I was hungry, I ate.
When I had to go,
well,
I went. Well,
I
felt good today. A day in the poly life. Yeah, I don't know. Just some things. But that's not like an everyday thing, because there's a lot of days, my poly life right now is me being at home alone a lot. That's not fun. That's not, but definitely the radar. That's what this post that I'm writing is about. And, good things.
That's the thing though. It's figuring out what your content is.
Oh, shoot.
Thing is.
Even the being at home alone, that can be definitely content.
Totally. There's so many people who are feeling it right now.
Hell yeah. A lot of poly single people out there.
All right, ladies and gents. Moral of the story today, your feelings and don't make a $3,000 mistake. Put it on your calendar, make something happen, go out and be a doer. I do what needs to get done. Can't even think of it off of the top of my head. I'm a doer. I do what needs to get done and I do it now. That's what it was.
That's your saying that you teach your kids.
That's the saying that we teach kids. I'm a doer. I do what needs to get done and I do it now. Speaking of which, it's time to end the show, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you again when I'm back to the guest circuit. Here we go.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@seeusfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.